Time for the ride home in ENC.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
This is your 5 o'clock drive with Patrick Johnson.
Holy mackerel!
More news, more interviews, more ECU stories than you can shake a stick at. Hey, stop shaking that stick. This is the Patrick Johnson Show.
Pirates win! Pirates win!
On 94.3 The Game.
Welcome into the Monday edition of the Patrick Johnson Show. Philip Pilkington and the P-Man here for you right now. We're just waiting on the P-Man. I think he stepped away to get some water. But we're going to talk about the show today. Jake Jacobs will join us, former Pirate pitcher. He will join us to talk about the College World Series and much more. Now we welcome in the host of the Patrick Johnson Show, the great P-Man. How you doing, Patrick? Have you recovered from Fairway Jesus letting you down yesterday? I'm a little worried about you.
Yeah, my guy Tommy Fleetwood. I thought he was going to make a run, Pilk, and he led all the way up. I tell you what, the guy's just not mentally tough. He's just not. And he's a very skilled golfer, but he does not have the skill set to overpower courses or to really overpower the competition. And Keegan Bradley, I'll say this, Fairway Jesus got shook when Bradley stuck that shot there a few feet from the cup on 18. And, Keegan Bradley, who, most people couldn't pick out of a lineup, is not – he's the captain for the upcoming Ryder Cup, right? He's got to pick himself. He needs to pick himself at this point. Is there anybody
Keegan's
playing
consistent.
better than him right now? I mean, no. He's playing really well right now.
He is. I don't know do him and LSU have a weird love relationship? I looked it up. The last time he won the Travelers was 2 years ago. I did not realize
LSU
that.
won.
Yeah, the same weekend that LSU won. I had not. I knew he had won some big time events. I did not realize that he had won the Travelers back in 20.
So it's he's from up there, so that's part of it. But he's a guy that always seems like he's he makes the cut. He's a competent guy. He's the captain of the Ryder Cup. Hell, I mean, trust me, some of the tomato cans we've selected on there for whatever reason to make people happy so they can golf with their buddies, especially when we go over to Europe, just doesn't. I mean, I know it's on U.S. soil this year, but let Keegan play. That's what I say. Let Keegan play because he's playing pretty well. Welcome to the show, Pilk. Thank you for a couple of minutes here. I was on a call. Stay up, Pilk. I want to be able to chop it up with you here. We got Jake Jacobs, as you mentioned. Cornell Powell will be with us tomorrow, a 5-time champion, 2 Super Bowls, 2 Natties, and now a UFL championship. So the great Cornell Powell is going to have some camps this summer. We'll catch up on what he's going to be doing. I think Cornell, if I'm not mistaken, he was the leading touchdown guy as far as receivers go this year.
Really?
In that league. And it seemed like every time you saw a highlight, he was in it. For DC, and dude's got to be, I always thought Cornell, of course, he had one year where he was kind of a featured guy at Clemson. Now, they were stacked with a ton of talent during his time there. But, he had a really good senior year. And then, obviously he got, let me see. There was a stat on ESPN saying Cornell was the first person to win the title at all 3 levels. Yeah, always anonymous text line there. So welcome back, by the way, to the person who just sent that with the always anonymous text line. They're a world traveler much like you and others. They just travel the world. I go to Surf City. That's the extent of my travel. So Cornell tomorrow. John Gilbert, who was on with Steve and I Go today, will be on the big show coming up Thursday. So we'll look forward to that. So Pilk, yesterday, what is essentially the national championship game, and it was Angel Castro. Is that the umpire, the home plate umpire?
Yeah.
Got a little boo-boo job face and gave Kevin Schnall, who can get intense, the heave-ho. Unless somebody was, and we'll get Jake Jacobs' perspective on this because I think it's a good perspective. Unless something was said about somebody's mother, I don't know that you can, even if he's questioning balls and strikes, which, is a ejectable offense, You can't do. I mean, that'd be like popping somebody twice in the national championship game in like the first 2 minutes.
Yeah.
You can't do that, can you?
No, I think you know the situation, right? If this is the first game of the season, the umpire's trying to set the tone for the year, you can understand a little more. But knowing the ramifications that it's
Not
an
that
automatic
early.
one-game suspension that early, and we don't know everything, right? Let's just make that
Sure.
clear. But the thing is it sounded like he got warned, couldn't understand exactly what he's being warned for, asked, and then kind of him asking is what got him tossed. And it's one thing to do it. It's another thing to lie and say that he bumped another umpire and that you're going to give him an extra 2-game suspension for bumping the first base umpire, which he never touched. That's the other thing, and I hope they can appeal this and win it because he should not be given a 3-game suspension. I understand the letter of the law is that he will get 1 because he was ejected during a postseason contest, but if he gets suspended for the Saturday and Sunday game of opening weekend, that's just ridiculous because that first base umpire flopped worse than any soccer or NBA player I have ever seen.
Do we have the full comment from Schnall about it?
Yeah, it's like 2.5 minutes. Yep.
Hell, let's play it. Because this is good stuff. This might be a pause it situation too, Pilk, where we pause and give comment at certain points. So,
Okay.
I'll let you guide the pausing on that, and we can make comments where you think we need to. But go ahead and play the Kevin Schnall post game press conference.
There's 25,000 people there, and I vaguely hear a warning issued. As the head coach, I was an assistant for 24 years, and as an assistant, you're almost treated like a second level citizen, and you can't say a word. Now, as a head coach, I think it is your right to get an explanation of why we got warned.
Okay, no problem with that.
No problem with that. Now,
I think that's what you said there. He may not have understood exactly what was going on with the warning.
yeah.
Now he did hold up three fingers indicating 3 pitches missed, right?
Yeah, he did. But the him talking about the second-class citizen, we might get in this here in a second, but this is where the first base coach should have known. Remember, you're an assistant. You're a second-class citizen. You know you're getting tossed the second you run over there. First base coach should have never ran over there.
Well, that's true. It's a good point.
So,
Good point. All right,
All right.
more from Kevin Schnall.
And I'm 48 years old. I shouldn't get shooed by another grown man. Right, so when I come out to ask what the warning is, a grown man shooed me. So at that point, I can now hear him say, it was a warning issued for arguing balls and strikes. And at that point, I said, because you missed 3.
Okay?
yeah.
I'm a man. I'm 48. Don't shoo
Yeah.
me.
I didn't like that either. He was like, get back. Like, come on. Like, have a conversation. Be a little civil about it. Like, what is this?
Well, know where
Was he a
you are.
fly?
You're in the national championship game.
Yeah.
All right, more from Kevin Schnall.
At that point, ejected. If that warrants an ejection, I'm the first one to stand here like a man and apologize. 2 words that define our program are own it. And what does that mean is you have to own everything that you do. Without blame, without defending yourself, without excuses. If you guys watch the video, there was a guy that came in extremely aggressively, tripped over Campos's foot, embarrassed in front of 25,000, immediately goes 2-game suspension, and said, bumping the umpire.
Now, again, if you're not that coordinated and you trip over the other guy's foot,
I get you're embarrassed, but why did he come
you did
in
it to
so
yourself.
You did it yourself. And the thing is, they were just
came in
each other's
hot.
face. It wasn't like they were pushing and shoving and he needed to go out
Right.
there and be a hockey ref.
Yeah. I mean, I was embarrassed for him because that was very unathletic.
I think he flopped. Like I said, I think it was a soccer flop.
Okay.
That's what I think. I was on the phone. I'm not going to lie. Me and my dad were on the phone. I hadn't talked to him all weekend, and we're like sitting there watching the game, both chit-chatting while we're like watching the exact same thing. We're like, oh my goodness, are we watching soccer? He just flopped.
All right, more
go.
from Kevin Schnall.
Here we go.
Immediately does that. There was no bump. He was embarrassed. I shouldn't be held accountable for a grown man's athleticism. They'll retract it, though, because now it's excessive. And the reason why it's excessive, because I was trying to say I didn't bump him. It is what it is. But if that warranted an ejection, man, there'd be a lot of ejections. As an umpire, I feel like it's your job to manage the game, the national championship game, with some poise, some calmness, and a little bit of tolerance.
And they did not.
No.
And they did not.
You're always taught as an official, what you ignore, you promote. So I have no problem with the warning. If you ignore him.
No. I mean, if they're arguing balls and strikes, you're within your right to do it, to give the warning, and you should.
Put him in his place. But
yeah,
ejecting him, and that's, again, we don't know what all was said. We don't know what had to happen the day before. But even if you eject
but that's the Schnall version, and if that version is what happened, that's bad umping.
And I will say, now we don't know everything that was said throughout the entire altercation, but the last words out of Schnall's mouth, if you can read lips, were, "You missed 3." And you can see it pure as day. There was no, "You missed blank and 3," or
you missed
blank
3.
blank. There was nothing crazy. You missed 3.
Now, after the ridiculous ejection, perhaps somebody's mother was talked about.
Yeah, well but then all bets are off. And like he said, they're now claiming that I guess there's this NCAA rule, and that's what it was originally brought to me. It wasn't because he pushed the umpire. They were saying if you continue after ejection to make it a big scene, you get a 2-game suspension. He said what I was saying when they gave me the 2 was, all I was trying to say is I didn't bump the guy. You have a right to defend yourself and say, I didn't touch him. And then they're like, 2 games. No.
Ridiculous. The guys, whoever umpired, that crew should not be allowed to umpire at that level again.
No, they should not. They should have a 1-year postseason ban. I'm not saying they shouldn't get regular season games next year. They should definitely not be getting any.
I mean, if you're going to ban the coach, you should ban them. Anyway, heck of a year by Coastal. LSU winning. We'll find out Jake Jacobs' thought. Is that good for the game? We'll also get his take on all of this. The great Jake Jacobs with us on the other side of the timeout. Big week ahead on the Patrick Johnson Show here, as we've got Cornell Powell tomorrow, former Rose great, and also John Gilbert later in the week. Jake Jacobs when we come back on the PJ Show.
The team of Flatlands Jessup is working overtime to help ensure that Eastern North Carolinians like you get the health insurance help you need this open enrollment period. New legislation passed, meaning more people than ever qualify for affordable coverage. Let us help you today.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers in Greenville, plus the all-new Tiebreakers in Winterville. 2 real burgers, better than anybody. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, real burgers at its best.
Everybody loves burgers.
Big tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
Tired of the 1-800 numbers advertising Medicare products? Flatlands Jessup has 6 offices all throughout eastern North Carolina. Get face-to-face help from our local award-winning licensed team. Stop by today. Flatlands Jessup, your whole world covered.
It's back.
Inner Banks Media presents the #1 outdoor concert series in Greenville.
Concert on the
The
Common.
next band to hit the stage at the Greenville Toyota Amphitheater is On the Border, the ultimate Eagles tribute.
Get more details on this year's concert series at concertonthecommon.org. See you June 26th for On the Border.
Do you need to lose weight but want to do it with the safe supervision of a capable doctor? Eastern Physical and Lifestyle Medicine specializes in patient weight loss. Dr. Billy Smith will help you in your weight loss journey, including working with pharmacies to make expensive weight loss drugs affordable. If you've tried other weight loss programs with little luck, Eastern Physical and Lifestyle Medicine can help you change your life. Dr. Smith is certified in physical and lifestyle medicine and has helped patients change their lifestyle for 20 years. He specializes in helping patients with high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, and other medical problems, and accepts most insurance plans. Patients on Dr. Smith's weight loss program have lost 30 pounds and feel better than ever. Eastern Physical and Lifestyle Medicine will guide your journey to live longer and live stronger. Eastern Physical and Lifestyle Medicine is located directly across the street from ECU Health Medical Center on Stantonsburg Road in Greenville. For appointments, call 252-215-9294. That's 252-215-9294.
Oh, hey. Welcome back.
Oh, look who's back reporting for duty.
You got here just in time.
Holy nuts, man.
This is the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
Continuing our discussion of the debacle that was the umpiring situation and the heave-ho at the College World Series in what was essentially the national championship game. And other baseball news and notes. The great Jake Jacobs with us again on the Patrick Johnson Show. Back-to-back no-hitters as an ECU Pirate and a woodworker. We've learned that here today. He is handy, folks. He is very handy. Jake, how are you, buddy?
I'm great. I'm a woodworker because that's how great my fastball was.
Hey, have you ever seen anything like we saw yesterday in the first inning of that Game 2 of the Men's College World Series is what they call it now, between Coastal and LSU, and Kevin Schnall getting the heave-ho in the fashion in which he did?
Well, so to answer the question, have I seen that before? Yeah, I've seen coaches get run quick, and I think normally though it would be a situation where coaches kind of know the umpires temperament, and they understand kind of what they can do and can't do. So while I have seen it happen before, to expect to see that in the first couple innings of the College World Series championship game, you don't expect to see it there. But I have seen that, and as a coach, I have experienced it. It's you can get on the dark side of an umpire real quick.
First inning, though, and as you say, in what is essentially the championship game, we don't know what was being said. You obviously know you don't question balls and strikes. That's the old mantra. And then everything was kind of exacerbated by the fact that the guy came in, I guess, from first and tripped over his own, crewmate. That just made the whole thing look even worse. And then we've, heard from Kevin Schnall afterwards and that sort of thing. I think the shame in the whole thing is, had there been a Game 3, Schnall would not have been able to manage it tonight, which seems a little egregious. So I don't, and to me, that whole thing again, we don't know what was said, but I mean, if you're just saying, hey, you missed 3 pitches, don't you just give a warning there? And if he does continue, then you toss him?
Yeah, well, so let me maybe try to add a little bit of perspective here that maybe the average fan is missing out of this. So a couple of things. First off, what you're seeing there to start with is a very high level of stress and frustration that was, facilitated by the day before. Coastal's not used to getting shut out. And, this is a team that had been winning at a very high level, had been performing at a very high level, and they ran into a buzzsaw, on day one, right? And so now all of a sudden you come into a game, emotions are already high, intensity already high. And let me just say from experience, I can tell you playing against LSU and really any SEC school stinks. It's an awful experience if you're the opposing team. They are very, very good, but LSU is also super, super high level of arrogance and baseball snobbery and everything else that kind of comes with the intensity of facing an SEC school, right? So now you have a school like Coastal Carolina, kind of what I refer to as kind of a blue collar lunch pail type, approach. These guys show up and just grind and work and hammer away and all this kind of stuff. Now, you're talking about kind of the tale of two cities. We've got Coastal, bring kids in, develop them, mold them into the Coastal player, mold them into this, this gritty, tough guy. And then you've got the king of the portal acquisitions, lots of money, the arrogance and machismo of a big-time SEC school, right? And so you take the frustration that obviously Coastal carries out of day one into day two. You're now facing a really good arm from LSU. Coastal obviously puts a good arm on the mound, and there's a couple of things that happened that prefaced this ejection. Number one is Coastal felt like the LSU coach at third base was tipping pitches.
Yeah.
Now, how he was doing that, I don't know, but it looked to me as if the Coastal pitcher felt like the coach was out of the batter's box, out of the coach's box, and he was tipping pitches to the hitters of what was coming. Right now, everybody can argue: is that cheating? Is it whatever? It's part of baseball, right? Stealing signs, trying to pick up tells from players is a big part of baseball. It's a big part of the inside game within a game of baseball. And so we saw the Coastal pitcher was frustrated by that. He actually, I think he made a gesture towards the third base coach when he came off the field. And so already you take the temperament of playing LSU the day before, that happens, and it's almost like the Coastal attitude was the audacity of LSU at this point, right? So it's the whole, we're facing a giant here, and we've got to kind of put on this suit of armor, which is, we're not going to get pushed around. Well, then you take the LSU side, their guy takes the mound, and I will side with the Coastal coach that I felt like a couple of the early breaking balls were questionable. I thought the balls were up. I didn't think they were I didn't think the guy established the strike zone right off the bat. I think pitchers early in a game have to establish the strike zone with the umpire. I felt like it was a couple of questionable calls. Now, with all that being said, gosh, I'm taking you on a trip here, Patrick, but stay with me. I promise I'm coming to a point.
We're with you. Yes.
I want to remind everybody, like the stuff that happened with the Florida coach, the stuff that happened with the unfortunate incident with the Wake Forest coach, other instances that happen in baseball. I want folks to remember this. You don't become a major Division I baseball coach without having an incredible amount of intensity. These men, these professional coaches, are some of the most intense human beings you'll ever want to be around. And it's without exception. Now, some handle it a little differently than others, but the level of intensity is super high by all of them. These are incredibly competitive, super, super high intensity guys, right? And most of them are high motor guys, meaning their intensity is very visible and they're very active, right? They just are. And anybody that follows, Cliff Godwin knows that. And lots of the coaches around our state, right? Our Elliott Avent is, they're just a lot of guys carry that emotion at a very high level. Okay. So with that being said, take the environment, take the early issue with maybe LSU's tipping pitches. Now all of a sudden we're not getting a couple of calls. And so as a coach, I feel like I got to defend my guys and I've got to stand up for me and my team, and I have to project strength, right? So that leads up to the issue. So the issue is they thought on the steal, they thought the breaking ball was out of the strike zone. The umpire then confirmed with the first base umpire that what the count was. They signal 0-1. Now Schnall's coming out of the dugout. Now here's where the problem lies. He didn't come out of the dugout with, I would like to inquire about the call, right? He came out red face, neck up, chest out, and he's 30 feet outside of the dugout, right? Which if you charge at an umpire as a head coach, and I refer to it as barking like a junkyard dog, right? If you come out of that dugout charging at that umpire, you're going to get that same thing back, right? You're going to get an umpire that's going to charge at you. And so it's one thing to kind of bark about balls and strikes from the dugout. And what you might get there is an umpire saying, that's enough. I've heard enough. But he was kind of charging out onto the field,
sure,
very animated. And now you have a situation where the umpire, right or wrong, the umpire now feels, some kind of way, right? He either feels disrespected or he feels threatened or he feels whatever, right? We know that questioning balls and strikes is a no-no. That is a rule infraction and can result in being tossed out. So I think he charged out aggressively because of the intensity of the moment and the game and the whole thing. Now, again, I've been online reading all the social media and all the stuff. I mean, I get it. People are saying, well, the umpire needs more feel there. Well, I would challenge, devil's advocate here, Coach Schnall's got to have a little more feel there too, right? If you want to come out and question it and you want to say to the coach, hey, I think you're missing these breaking balls or whatever, and you say that in a way that it's not, the whole stadium doesn't look like you're challenging the umpire, maybe you don't get tossed. But he runs out and he's defending his team. He's trying to set the tone for his team that we're not going to back down from LSU or anybody else. And as a result, it results in the ejection. Now, I'll tell you, I didn't really have a problem with that. In some ways, your coach can actually motivate your team and it can actually play to your favor at that point. Now, I don't think he intended to be ejected, but I do think he intended to set the tone for his team. Now, where I have the problem is once that ejection takes place, if you're the first base coach, you got to keep your mouth shut. I didn't say you got to like it, but you can't be down there running your mouth. Like, you've got to hush, because now our skipper just got tossed. My team needs all the coaches to pull together now, and we've got to do what all you can do from a team is take that and now motivate yourself, motivate your team with it. Having two coaches thrown out, it just exasperated the problem, in my opinion. And now you've got coaches coaching things they're not normally coaching. Right. And as a result, I think it kind of kills the momentum for your team. So long description to say, I see both sides of the story. But I am not surprised if you come out of that dugout that aggressively. I'm not surprised to see you get tossed.
Well, yeah, some of this lies on Schnall for sure. And again, if we don't know what precipitated all this, what went down, how vocal he was in the 1-0 game the night before. But you got to think too, if it happens in the 7th inning, it's a little different than happening in the first. I think the time, the timing of it. Again, we don't know what was going down. At some point, if that ump had Coastal game, earlier and had issues with Schnall barking,
Right.
who knows? All right, the
Right.
great Jake Jacobs is with us. I'm going to come back to something you said a minute ago, but I want to ask you this since we're talking the topic of balls and strikes. There's some minor leagues that have gone to the computer or the camera umpire, the automated umpire. Are we headed towards that, and should we head towards that?
God, I hope not. I hope not. Patrick, I'll tell you, and I get it. There's arguments on both sides of this, right? But I am at heart a baseball purist. There are a lot of things about the game today that I don't like. But at the end of the day, I still love the game of baseball and like it or not like it. Umpiring is part of the game of baseball, right? And in some ways is part of the strategy of the game, right? As a pitcher, I got to kind of learn that umpire. I got to learn his strike zone. I've got to establish a strike zone, and then what happens is there's this dance that happens between you and the catcher and the umpire that you all kind of work together in a game. And I don't mean work together as if the umpire teams up with you, but you have to learn that strike zone, and it is part of managing the game from a pitcher's perspective. And so, as you know, I was a pitcher. I have a lot of respect and appreciation for the art of pitching. A lot of that's gone today. We've kind of gone to this power game where everybody just trots out to the mound, throws as hard as they can for 20, 30 pitches, and then we just go get another guy, right? And I don't like that style of baseball. I understand that style of baseball. I just don't like it. And so to me, I think umpiring is a big part of the game, and I like the fact that the strike zone might be a little different every game. I think it's what you've heard me use this phrase before. I think it's one of the things that's romantic about baseball is that all of the small games within the game, when you take that away, baseball becomes this very mechanical, methodical, kind of, it just becomes very robotic to me, and I just feel like the game doesn't need that.
Well, there's an effort, it seems like, to homogenize a lot of it, and the issue is it's all geared towards the offense. And
That's right.
I'm like you. I think different strike zones, good or bad, is a good thing. Now, should there be something in place to try to tighten? I don't know. Maybe, I guess. But if Jake Jacobs is on the hill, he's going to pitch to hopefully his strengths, and you got to adjust to that guy's strike zone if
right.
what you're throwing isn't being called a strike. So I mean that's
right.
as you say,
look,
sort of the game in the game.
Yep, I've had that happen. You show up, you're in a big game, and you go out there and you pitch that first inning, and you realize, oh crap, this umpire doesn't like he doesn't like my pitch. I've got to now adjust to him. And I'm going to tell you, man, it's a very uncomfortable feeling on the mound. And now you're forced to adjust. And, again, to me, it's part of the art of pitching. So I hope not. I don't want to see us go to it. I think the people that want that are the people that are the same people that want to drive the game based on statistical analysis. And, we talked about that in our last conversation. I think you lose a lot of the things that are beautiful about baseball when you do that.
The great Jake Jacobs with us here on the Patrick Johnson Show. All right, you mentioned LSU. You got a heaping helping of LSU back in the day when Pirate baseball, in sort of the modern era, the post 2000s, late 90s era, when Coach LeClaire came aboard and the goal shifted hyper focus to get to Omaha. One of those trips was going to Baton Rouge. And if I'm not mistaken, Jake, the Pirates were the number 1 seed at Baton Rouge.
They were the number 1 seed at Baton Rouge.
And you guys were not in a booth doing radio.
We were not. We were sitting in the bleachers amongst the locals. So, as they say, we were in the general population.
Give me your best story about life at doing a game at LSU.
Well, I tell you, there was a couple of things. Number one is we rolled into town, a couple of days before that as media members. We rolled in and tried to hit all the press conferences and all that kind of stuff. And I remember the first night we were in town, we went to a restaurant and we had to wait for a table. So we sat at the bar for a few minutes. Henry Hinton and I did. And I mean, all of the conversation around the bar openly, it was just this disbelief that the NCAA had the gall to make a number one seed at LSU. I mean, they just could not get over the fact that who is this directional North Carolina team that is coming in here as the number one seed. Then the other thing, they were greatly offended that we were purple and gold. Did not like that. Did not like that at all. And then the third thing was, if you'll remember, because we were the number one seed, we didn't play LSU and in the first round. LSU had to play, and I can't remember the directional Louisiana team we played, but it was one of the La Tex or Southwest Louisiana or whoever, and they had a projected number one pick, and he shut LSU down. Now I think they ended up beating him, but it took LSU to the brink to beat him. Well,
right.
East Carolina played, a lesser opponent in the first round. I believe it was it Southern University? Gosh, I can't remember. It was one of the HBU schools, I think. But anyway, East Carolina played. And if you'll remember, two things happened in that game. Number one thing, James Molinari stole home in that game. And by the way, there was a ton of people at that game because the LSU fans wanted to watch who is this East Carolina team that's the number one seed. And when he stole home, there was this collective just intake of air in the stadium that, oh my, these guys are really good, right? Then the second thing that happened was, and I'm trying to remember his name, and Patrick, the older I get, the worse I get at this, but East Carolina had an outfielder that was really good, left-handed hitter. Anyway, he hit a ball off of what they call the Intimidator, which is their big billboard in right center field that has all of the national championship banners on it. And he hit one out there off the Intimidator that just set the tone that this East Carolina team is for real. And by the way, that East Carolina team was for real. They were really, really good. And if you'll remember, Cliff Godwin was on that team. And anyway, the bottom line is the story goes, East Carolina ends up beating LSU. LSU had to throw their ace in the first round against the Louisiana team. We got rain that night in the second day. In my opinion, in my humble opinion, LSU didn't do anything to protect the field. No tarps, no protection, no whatever, because they were totally okay with a rain out, pushed the tournament back a day. They were able to bring the ace back on Monday, and the rest is history. They beat East Carolina in a very close game in the last game of the regionals. So, East Carolina beat LSU, though, and at the end of that game, Henry Hinton and I are sitting in the stands with the fans, and of course, neither one of us are very quiet. We project well, as I say. And I made some comment, I think, over the fact that East Carolina, was not intimidated by LSU at all. And I mean, while we were live on the broadcast, we had LSU fans in our face pointing at us, challenging me, challenging Henry that you guys don't know who you are. We're gonna beat y'all's tail and all this kind of stuff. So anyway, buddy, it was a raucous environment to say the least.
Henry says you guys had to get a police escort out.
Yeah, Henry looked at me and said, let's get our stuff together and get out of here. And so, of course, this was still back in my young days when I felt like I still had a little bit to offer. And so I wasn't backing down. I mean, I was kind of looking at people, yeah, you want some? Let's get some. Let's go. And of course, so. But
The
anyway,
Wayne County came out in you,
typical,
as we say. The
typical
Wayne County
LSU
came out in you.
environment.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say typical LSU environment in the fact that they are good baseball fans, right? Now they're awful to play against, but they do appreciate good baseball. And there were a large number of fans in that deal that were like, "Hey, man, you guys are really good," and they were complimentary of us. But you always remember this, particularly against an SEC school. They will compliment you and they'll be very nice to you, and then they're going to walk off and talk about how bad they're going to beat you the next time they play you. And so that group does not lack for confidence and never has.
I think you go back to maybe I'm trying. It's something like 7 in a row now. Maybe the SEC has won College World Series championships. LSU's got 2 out of 3. Is that good for the sport itself?
Well, I think the road to the College World Series is always gone through the SEC, and then you had a now I'm speaking kind of in my lifetime. Now you had you certainly had an awful lot of good baseball out of Miami and Florida State back in the days, but that was really kind of before they were in the ACC, to be honest. So let's not forget Virginia had a really magical run to the College World Series. Carolina's had a couple of really good runs in the College World Series. So what I will say is I feel like there's been a couple of West Coast programs, USC, UCLA. Certainly Cal State Fullerton was there, I believe, if I remember correctly. Didn't San Jose State win it one year? But at the same time, yes, the road to the national championship runs through the SEC.
All right, Jake. Good stuff. This was good. The Jake Jacobs perspective. Awesome stuff as always.
Hey, Patrick, one of the things you mentioned to me today in the show prep was the discussion around Norby and this kind of what the future of his future at East Carolina. And I did want to just toss out to some folks, it's easy to maybe downplay this U.S. collegiate team invite that Norby's gotten. What I will tell folks is for amateur baseball, that is the highest of the highest, right? That is the elite performers in the collegiate baseball universe, which is really the elite performers of non-professional players. The coaching that they'll get at that level is tremendous. It's easy, particularly for people that are involved in youth baseball. You think about, it's kind of a travel ball format. It's not. I mean, these guys, see it as kind of grown man baseball camp. I mean, they are on the field all day, and then they play. And so it is full-time training. It is. These players are learning how to do things other than just play. Now they're receiving really high level coaching, in addition to the coaching they already received at their respective universities. But they'll receive some new inputs and some new perspectives on things. They'll be around high performing players, which is a really big deal. Then they'll also learn little things like how to prepare and perform like a pro, right? They'll learn all of the tactics on how to eat and how to take care of your body and all the rehabilitation. They'll be exposed to all kinds of sports medicine opportunities that'll teach them how to take care of their bodies. Lots of stuff around, all of the mechanical fundamentals of being a better baseball player. So that opportunity is a really big opportunity, and I think I fully expect to see Norby come back as an even higher level pitcher, which is incredible to think about after the year that guy just had. So here's what I love about him. His mentality is already at a premier player standpoint, right? He's a freaking bulldog on the mound, and he's fun to watch pitch. And I think he's a guy that could be a really good leader for the team and set the tone. And obviously he's a guy that Cliff feels very comfortable going to in the pinch. This collegiate baseball opportunity will do nothing but just make him a better pitcher. For those of you that maybe I can help put that in perspective, in the College World Series, the 8 teams that went, there were 22 players that have been involved in the U.S. national team, the USA baseball body of work. There were 22 players in the College World Series that have come through that system. So it is a baseball factory, and it's an incredible opportunity for Mr. Norby. It's really cool.
You look at it, you got him, you have Sean Jenkins back. They have added, talking about East Carolina, the kid from St. Joe's who was a weekend guy. And then that, we don't know what's going to happen with Towers and Tolik. But, I mean, if you have those two bouncing back after not pitching this past year, I mean, that's potentially five guys that have weekend experience that you have to pick from. I think the pitching next year stands to be vastly improved for East Carolina.
Yeah, I do think so. And then hopefully, we can bring in some young arms and not necessarily rely just on portal talent, but hopefully bring in some guys that can develop and we can start building some continuity. I haven't spoken to Cliff personally in a long time, but, I would imagine if I had to guess, Cliff is going to want a balance of that, right? Yeah, you got to go get a guy. You got to go get some arms. That's just the facts of where we're at today. You got to go satisfy some immediate needs on your roster to be competitive. So you're going to utilize the transfer portal, particularly if you lose some guys to the portal. You got to go replace them. But I also know that it's important to get East Carolina guys into the program and develop them and build them through the system. And I'll just tell you, any young person I have the opportunity to talk to, I'm going to tell them that, if you got a chance to go to East Carolina, you're going to get challenged as a player. You're also going to get challenged as a student athlete, and then you're going to get challenged as a young man. And I think those are the programs you want to put yourself in, right? We know that Cliff is a good man. He's got a good heart. He wants what's best for these kids. And I hope that particularly the staple recruiting environment for East Carolina continues to respect that, and we continue to pull from like that, that eastern coast of Virginia, eastern North Carolina, most of the state of North Carolina. I hope that we'll continue to glean the kids from that because I think that those kids do very well at East Carolina, and to me, they're a lot of fun to watch play.
The great Jake Jacobs. Jake, thank you, man. Great to talk to you. If we don't talk to you on the air, have a great summer. Appreciate it very much.
Hey, man, I appreciate it. Hey, really quick before you let me go, how about the USA, man? Most capable, powerful, baddest butt military in the world, making it happen. God bless USA. See you, buddy.
Love it. Jake Jacobs with us. Now let's go to Philip the Ref Pilkington, 94.3 The Game Sports Update.
Thank you, P-Man. And yeah, you're right there, Jake. Looking over at athletics now, College World Series wrapped up last night, and LSU swept Coastal Carolina to claim their second title in 3 years. Kevin Schnall was ejected from the game in the first inning. Here were his comments after the contest.
That came in extremely aggressively, tripped over Campos's foot, embarrassed in front of 25,000, immediately goes 2-game suspension and said, bumping the umpire. Immediately does that. There was no bump. He was embarrassed. I shouldn't be held accountable for a grown man's athleticism.
It is unclear whether or not Coastal Carolina will appeal that extra 2-game suspension. Another thing that wrapped up last night was the NBA Finals. The Oklahoma City Thunder claimed their second title in franchise history, first since moving to Oklahoma City with a 103-91 win over the Pacers. Pacers star guard Tyrese Halliburton did leave the game in the first quarter with what has been announced earlier today as a torn Achilles tendon. After the game, SGA talked about the victory.
Feels amazing. So much weight off my shoulders, so much stress relieved. Like, no matter what, like, you go into every night wanting to win, and sometimes it just doesn't go your way.
Gilgeous-Alexander was named the league MVP as well as the Finals MVP. Over the past weekend, the Pirates have landed a new transfer pitcher, Frank Cicerone of St. Joseph's. He was a starter there. He went 5-5 in 14 starts with a 4.70 ERA. Keegan Bradley took home the Travelers Championship with a one-shot victory over Tommy Fleetwood and Russell Henley. This is his 11th career victory, 8th on the PGA Tour, and his second Travelers Championship in the last 3 years. In NASCAR, Chase Briscoe got his third career win as he held off Denny Hamlin while having to save fuel for the entirety of the final run to claim the victory and punch himself a ticket into the playoffs. That'll do it for your 94.3 The Game Sports Flash Update and Pirate Report. We're going to take our final timeout here on the Patrick Johnson Show and be back to wrap it up right after this.
Hey, it's Jim Wells again with Wells Roofing and Gutters here in the beautiful community of Lindale, Bedford. At Wells Roofing and Gutters, we believe in quality first, and that's why we use CertainTeed shingles, which are manufactured in Oxford, North Carolina, a local company. In the event you ever do have a claim or a problem with your roof system, they're local and they come and take care of us in a timely manner. We could leave off some accessories and we could certainly save money, but we believe at Wells Roofing and Gutters in installing the correct way per manufacturer requirements, and we warranty your roof both in-house and also with our supplier, who is CertainTeed. For a job Wells done, no shortcuts taken, and a good quality job on your home, give us a call today, 252-227-8403. We also offer financing, 12 months, no interest, no payments.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked to order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
See 'em. That's all the great deals waiting for you at Greenville Marine Outdoor Shop.
We got 'em, come see 'em. Our deals, you won't believe 'em. The others try, but they simply can't beat 'em. For better service, quality, selection, and more. We've got 'em, come see 'em. Our deals, you won't believe 'em.
Greenville Marine Outdoor Shop is your fishing headquarters with an amazing selection of rods and reels, freshwater and saltwater lures, and artificial baits, all your fishing tackle and more. Plus, we're your hunting headquarters with all kinds of handguns, shotguns, hunting rifles, all your ammo and gun supplies, hunting accessories, and more. And we're your archery center, too, with a full line of bows and bow accessories, arrows, shooting targets, and supplies. We have an in-house archery tech on staff and more.
We've got 'em, come see 'em. Our deals, you won't believe 'em.
Greenville Marine Outdoor Shop, 3600 Marine Drive in Greenville. Visit us online at greenvillemarine.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
And now, the stunning conclusion.
Why is everyone screaming?
On 94.3 The Game.
Nice to have Jake Jacobs with us. Congrats to our friend and colleague at one time, the great Terrence Copper, his son Tyreek, committing verbally to NC State over the weekend in football. Don't like that destination, but happy for the kid. Had a nice season for Kinston as a junior, so he'll go in verbally committed to the next season to the Wolfpack. Terrence kind of stepped away from working with us in the game day coverage so he could kind of go and do campus visits with his son. And he got a lot of offers very, very, very quickly from a lot of FCS level schools. I mean, almost instantly. He would visit and they'd offer him right on the spot. And you thought, okay, well, and then they started to get a little higher level FCS. And then apparently, I guess, Army and maybe Navy. And now NC State. So you could see his progression in the level of schools that were interested in him. So I know some Pirate fans are a little frustrated with that this weekend. All right, we'll be back tomorrow. Speaking of football, we'll talk with the one and only Cornell Powell, Rose alum, Clemson alum, Super Bowl champ with the Chiefs, and played with DC in the UFL this past spring and won a championship there. John Gilbert later in the week. Thanks to Jake Jacobs. Thanks to Philip. We'll see you in the morning talk of the town and back here for the PJ Show tomorrow at 5.